Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishnupad, Paramahansa Prabhupada, Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Asa Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad, Paramahansa Prabhupada, Srimad, Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Guru Parampara Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Go Premananda, Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sabidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Parakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishwari Rishabhana Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanshakau Bhatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary Srila Prabhupada, today's verse number 21 of 7th chapter, entitled Knowledge of the Absolute. So, on the verse there? Yeah. Okay, please repeat. Yo yo yam, yam tanum bhaktaha, Shradaya chitam ichchati tasya chalam shradham tam eva vidajamyaham yo yam tanum bhaktaha Shradaya chitam ichchati tasya chalam shradhyam tam eva vidajamyaham yo yam tanum bhaktaha shradhaya chitam ichchati tasya chalam shradhyam tam eva vidajamyaham. Okay. Matajis, have a go. Yo yo yam tanum bhaktaha chadar ichyati tasya tasya chalam shraddham tam eva vidyamyaham. So, word for word, please repeat. Yaha, whoever. Yam yam, whichever. Tanum, form of a demigod. Bhaktaha, devotee. Sradaya, with faith. Architam, to worship. Ichyati, desires. Tasya tasya, to him. Achalam, steady. Shraddham, faith. Tam, that. Eva, surely. Vidhadami, give. Aham, I. Translation, Srila Prabhupada. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. And as soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. Please repeat. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. What is all that banging? Can we stop it for the class? Well, the sound is coming inside. Who is it? Tell them to stop for 1 hour. It's very distracting. We didn't have this problem at Naimisharanya. Look at what it did. No, yes, I know they're hammering, but it's distracting. They weren't making bookcases at Naimisharanya. Anyway, so I'm in my own heart as the super soul. Good information, but embarrassing for some. Here's the purport. God has given independence to everyone. Therefore, if a person desires to have material enjoyment and wants very sincerely to have such facilities from the material demigods, the Supreme Lord, as Supersoul in everyone's heart, understands and gives facility to such persons. As the Supreme Father of all living entities, he does not interfere with their independence, but gives all facilities so that they can fulfill their material desires. Some may ask why the all-powerful God gives facilities to the living entities for enjoying this material world and so lets them fall into the trap of the material energy. The answer is that if the Supreme Lord as Supersoul does not give such facilities, then there is no meaning to independence. Therefore, he gives everyone full independence, whatever one likes. But his ultimate instruction we find in the Bhagavad Gita, one should give up all other engagements and fully surrender unto him. That will make man happy. Both the living entity and the demigods are subordinate to the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the living entity cannot worship the demigod by his own desire, nor can the demigod bestow any benediction without the supreme will. As it is said, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Generally, persons who are distressed in the material world go to the demigods, as they are advised in the Vedic literature. A person wanting some particular thing may worship such and such a demigod. For example, a diseased person is recommended to worship the sun god. A person wanting education may worship the goddess of learning, Saraswati. And a person wanting a beautiful wife may worship the goddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva. In this way, there are recommendations in the Shastra, Vedic scriptures, for different modes of worship of different demigods. And because a particular living entity wants to enjoy a particular material facility, the Lord inspires him with a strong desire to achieve that benediction from that particular demigod. And so he successfully receives the benediction. The particular mode of the devotional attitude of the living entity toward a particular type of demigod is also arranged by the Supreme Lord. The demigods cannot infuse the living entities with such an affinity, but because he is the Supreme Lord or the Supersoul who is present in the hearts of all living entities, Krishna gives impetus to a man to worship certain demigods. The demigods are actually different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord, therefore they have no independence. In the Vedic literature it is stated, the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Supersoul is also present within the heart of the demigod. Therefore, he arranges through the demigod to fulfill the desire of the living entity. But both the demigod and the living entity are dependent on the supreme will. They are not independent. Yeah, that's from the Vedas. So, Mukam korochi vachalam pangam naitegaram yar kripa tamam bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam yo yo yam yam tanum bhakta Shraddha achitam ichati tasya chulam shraddham tam eva vidya jamyaham. I am in everyone's heart as the Supersoul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. So the subject is the devatas, devata, demigod. Demigod means half god in English, but it means, as Prabhupada explains here, they are empowered by the Supreme Lord to administrate the material affairs. Just like here in India, we have the Prime Minister. And he empowers the Finance Minister, the Defense Minister, the Train Minister, so on and so forth. But he stays aloof in that sense. He empowers them and they do the work under his supervision. So Krishna, as Supersoul, and we understand Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, he is in Goloka. He is enjoying his Goloka Leela with his devotees. Yet there is a secondary creation, the material creation. So Krishna has expanded into this creation as Param Atma, Supreme Soul. And he is Anumanta and Upadrishta. Upadrishta means from above he sees. That means he sees everything. Krishna stands on his potency of knowledge. It is one of the potencies, omniscience. Through his omniscience, his ability to be present everywhere, he is omnipotent and all-knowing. So Krishna knows everything. He's in the heart of all living entities, even in the material world. Of course, he's not active in the transcendental realm, Haridam, the place of Narayan, the place of Krishna, Goloka. He's not active there as Supersoul. Supersoul is just in the material world. And he is supervising the activities of the material world But he is not directly touching the material energy. Just like as Mahavishnu, he glances upon Durga Devi creating the Mahatattva from which the material energy comes from the Pradhan. So he's glancing, but he's not touching. He empowers the demigods to do such. So therefore you have the 8 Vasus, and you have the... There is explained in the Shastra that there are 33 million demigods. So they are like civil servants, if you like. Krishna's too, Bhagavan Swayam. He is the Ishvara Parama Krishna. He is the supreme controller, but he has empowered all the demigods to supervise the material energy. And they are, demigod, English translation, means half god. They have incredible potency. And they are ruling over all different aspects of the material nature, like the 8 Vasus. They're controlling the sun, moon, directions, the 5 Pancha Mahabhutas, the earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then there are demigods controlling different sections of the body. These are mentioned in the Shastra. 33 million. So you might wonder, oh, that's incredible. But actually, I heard the other day that there's 34 million civil servants just in America. I'm not from America, don't blame me. 34 million. You know, to run the tax department, they have the most, I guess. But anyway, they 34 million to administrate the country. So it is remarkable that only 33 million are necessary to run the material world, the 14 lokas, right? We're on Bhuloka, and then below us there's Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Tala, Tala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. And then above us there is we are on Bhuloka, earth plane. This is very earthy place. It's the most gross area of the universe. Then there's Bhuloka, Swagaloka, Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka. So in all these places, there's different material conditions, different mixtures of the material energy, and this is all supervised by the supreme demigods. So they have great potency. They have great potency. The universe explained in this particular universe is said to be 4 billion. Anyway, some incredible figure, 4 billion miles in diameter. And there are different conditions and different water and everything. And this is one question that the scientists cannot answer, the material foolish scientists. That is entropy. Why everything stays together. Right? Entropy means that why aren't the atoms and molecules just dissolving away from the nucleus of the atom? Why is everything cohesive? Why is everything remaining? Why is everything progressing through time, even in this material world? That is because it's resting upon the Supreme Lord as Supersoul. So ultimately his potency empowers the demigods to supervise the material energy. Just like in this temple, you might not believe it, but there is management. And if there was not management, there would be no deity worship. Everything would be, fall apart. There'd be cockroaches. The walls would fall down. Right? They tell you that if you're going to live in a foreign country, maybe working for 3 years, you should rent your house because the people will maintain the house. And if you just lock it up, after 3 years, it'll fall apart or it'll degrade very noticeably. So why this is called entropy. So why entropy does not take place widely? It is because everything is being sustained. Krishna says earlier, Matak Parataram Nanyad Kinchid Asti Jananjaya. We, individually, collectively, the material energy, we're all being sustained by the Supreme Lord. So, we heard earlier that 4 types of people, they don't surrender to the Supreme Lord. The Muda, Naradama, Maya, Apritagyan, the Asura. And then 4 types of people, they do surrender to Krishna. But some people don't want to surrender to Krishna. Because if you surrender to Krishna, then if you have bona fide guru, you find out that the aim is not material opulence. The aim is prem bhav, right? Bhakti means to cultivate prem. But many people, in fact, everyone who comes to the material world, at the root of their expression of will is a desire to enjoy the material energy in forgetfulness of the Supreme Lord. They are bahirmukh. They've turned away from serving Krishna, and now they want to serve themselves in the material energy. So those people with little knowledge, they try to enlist the demigods, right? This is very common in India, right? Oh, and Prabhupada mentions there, if I want this, I'll do this. If I do it, I get it. So this is not bhakti, because if you work in a factory, it's not because you love your boss. It's because you're getting money, right? So this is not bhakti to the demigods. Bhakti is just to Bhagavan, the Supreme Person, and bhakti is unmotivated. It means uninterrupted, and it is without material motivation. If you worship Lord Shiva, Uma, or Saraswati, you're motivated. Saraswati, please make me a sitar player. Oh, Kubera, I want to be very rich. So then the Vedas are there, giving prescriptions, how you can do it. So you might wonder, as Prabhupada makes the question there in the purport, why do people do that instead of worshipping the Supreme Personality? Right? This is the question. It is because of contaminated consciousness, because in their heart and soul they are rooted upon self-service. Krishna Bhakti means to serve the Supreme Lord. Sava upadi vinaya muktam tat paritrena nemalam. Rishikesha rishikena sevanam bhakti uchate. The devotee, he is not trying to serve himself, he is trying to please the Lord. Rishikesha rishikena. That means when he gets up in the morning, his bath, his puja, his mala, his cleaning of his circumstances, his practical service is all performed with the mentality, yagya. I'm doing this for Krishna. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madjaji mam namaskuru. Manmana yenatena prakarena mana Krishna iseshanat. Somehow or other put your mind on Krishna. So, I'm thinking of Krishna as a bhakta. And how do I act when I'm a bhakta? I do all my activities, my sadhana, my practical activities, as an offering to the Supreme Lord. And mam namaskaru. I offer this with humility to the Supreme Lord, and I learn to see the Supreme Lord within all living beings, within the heart of all living beings. Krishna is in the heart of all living beings in 2 ways, as the living entity, as the Jiva Shakti, and also as Paramatma. So, Mam Namaskaru means that I offer it to the Supreme Lord, and I respect all living entities, I respect the creation. At the beginning of this chapter, Krishna explained, I am this energy, I am the earth, water, fire, air, ether, this is me. It is not separate. Many false religions, man-made religions, they think God is there and this is the devil. There's a separation between God and this experience. I'm in the devil's grip. No, we are always perfectly supervised by the Supersoul. And he is within the heart. There is one sloka, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Yo Didadati Kaman. That there is one Supreme Eternal, that is the Supreme Lord, and there is one supremely conscious being. We are eternal beings, but we are fragments of, we are angsa of Krishna, and we are conscious also, but we're not supremely conscious. Eko Yodada, that means, and that Supreme Lord, from his position of omniscience, all-knowingness, and mercy, he fulfills the desires of all the living entities. So even those people who wants to be atheist, he will give them the intelligence to be atheist. Those people that want to be a bank robber, he will give them intelligence how to be a bank robber. But he'll also give the fruit of the karma. So those that want some material facility, and they somehow or other, from some source, they think, I will get this material facility, I will become wealthy, I will get a beautiful wife, I will become renowned, I will be a great poet. Then he will get that material facility, and he will think, yes, I'll do it. I'll worship the demigods. I'll do some yajna. I'll get some Brahmins to chant mantras on my roof. I'll do something so that I get a fruit. So this is more or less the same mentality of sitting in a factory and working for your salary. You're worshipping the boss. You're in the office. You're pushing paper around with a pen, and you're just doing it. So you're not worshipping your boss. You just got a deal. So it must be distinguished from bhakti. Bhakti, like I say, has this, the special quality of bhakti is, from beginning to end, it is the cultivation of bhava, love. Right? And love is unselfish when it's pure. And that is the nature. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadakabanai. The gopis, the cowherd boys, Mother Yashoda, they are not serving Krishna for some fruit. They are doing it out of spontaneous love. So we must distinguish, and we must have a vision, we must have prayojan tattva of the spiritual world. And that must be the dwelling place of our mind, our consciousness. This is it. There is so much creation, the material creation, spiritual creation. So we have, as Prabhupada mentions there, we have independence. We have the ability to focus on this, on that, or some material facility, good or bad. We have this independence. So, sadhu sangha, sava shastra hoy, lava mata sadhu sangha, sava siri hoy. If you have the good fortune, Brahmanda, Brahmite, Kona Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prashadi Bhai Bhakti Latabi. If you meet a proper sadhu, he can inspire you. Don't chase after all this material thing. You chase after transcendence. Try to become Rishikesha Rishikena. That means you use your senses, your ability, your potency as a living entity, not to selfishly exploit the material energy, but use the material energy, use your intelligence, study the Shastra, learn the art of bhakti, and do it all as an offering to the Supreme Lord. Then you will go to the spiritual world. As long as we are in this mentality of fruitive activity, godlessness, forget God, it's not important. I've got my brain and my strength, I got my intelligence, and I'll get what I want. As long as we have that, we remain asura. Every materialist is asura. Asura means asura, no very pleasure. There's no pleasure. Sura is devotee. Why? He knows the art of life. the art of existence. The art of existence is to fix the mind in transcendence. Learn what is transcendence, what is the spiritual world, as described in the Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, throughout the Vedic literatures, to get a vision of the Supreme and serve that. How? Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Bandhanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. Right? What do? We Shravanam. How do we fix our mind on that transcendence? By hearing about it from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. We have to go to the proper Guru, not bogus Guru who teaches us, oh, worship a demigod, do this, do that, do this, and you'll become rich. No. They want dakshina. Oh. That is not. But there is a certain benefit in that, because the person who is performing the demigod worship, he's recognizing the Veda. So he is entering the funnel. He's been directed to the ultimate goal, which is the service of Krishna in an unmotivated manner. So, bona fide Guru will cut the material ties of the disciple. I was reading Bhakti Siddhanta a month or two ago. Some rich man approached Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. His mission was doing well. And he said to Bhakti Siddhanta, now what shall I do, Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta? Stay here and do bhajan. He didn't stay there and do bhajan. He was a businessman. He had his money, he had his family. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta put him on the spot. Stay here and do bhajan. So that's okay. He's meeting the sadhu, but the sadhu is saying, don't waste your time. Now you're 50 years old, you have big money in the bank, but you only have 20 years. You don't have big years. You have 20 years to get out of the material world. But many people, they lack. Therefore, Krishna later, he said, people that worship demigod, ritagyan, their intelligence is stolen. Because instead of going for the eternal, they're going for the temporary. So what's the point? You build a big house and then you die. It's not you take it with you. You may perform many sinful activities to squeeze some money out of the area. So Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, teachings of Kapila to Devahuti, he says that people accumulate money in this world by sinful means, and they can't take it with them, but that money buys a ticket to Narak. So, Super Soul, Upadrishta, he's seeing everything. You want this? Okay, go for it. You want to rob the bank? Okay, rob the bank. It was very difficult. In the street, one thief is looking at a house and thinking, I want to break in there and steal the house, steal money from the house. And then there's another man inside the house and he's thinking, I want to keep the thieves out. So Super Soul has to do both. He has to juggle everything. Can you imagine how many spirit souls there are in this universe? How many living entities, human, non-moving, animals, devatas, all full of desire to do this individual thing, and Super Soul has to move everyone around, give them the right result favorably. So that is the Supreme Lord. That is omniscience. So we can contemplate that aspect of Krishna. He knows the heart of everyone, not just you and I in this room, but every living entity in the universe. He knows the karma. There's one sloka in the Yastrinda Gopamatavendra Maho Swakarma Bandhana Rupam Falambhajana Matanoti Karmadi Nirdaha Chikinchu Chabakti Bhajam Govindamadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami. And this sloka explains everything. In seed form, yes, here it is. I adore the supreme primeval Lord Govinda, who burns up to their roots all fruitive activities of those who are imbued with devotion. Lord Brahma here is explaining his realization that Lord Govinda, Krishna, Govinda means giver of pleasure, burns up to their roots all fruitive activities of those who are imbued with devotion. That means that if you become devoted to Krishna and under the direction of the spiritual master, you learn Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, and you perform this as a yajna for the pleasure of Krishna, this will burn up your karma phal. You may have been a bank robber. You may have done this, you may have done that, but that will be burnt up. Right? So that is the sadhaka. He's getting his fruitive results that is there under the supervision of Super Soul. He's getting it burnt up. But then Lord Brahma says something very interesting. Right? He burns up those who are with devotion. He burns up their karma phal. And impartially ordains, impartially, that means Krishna says later, Samaham Sava Bhuteshu Nadveshina Priya. I'm equal to everyone. I don't dislike any soul, or I'm not favorable. I don't have chosen people who are imbued with devotion, and impartially ordains for each the due enjoyment of the fruits of one's activities, of all those who walk in the path of work, in accordance with the chain of their previously performed works, no less in the case of the tiny insect that bears the name Indragopa than that in of Indra, the king of the Devas. So Krishna, he is freeing his devotees. He is freeing the devotee from the material energy because they are learning to be unselfish servants, loving servants. They are walking the path of bhakti. They are not materially motivated. But those that are materially motivated, who want to be Ishvara, an enjoyer, aham Ishvaro, aham bhogi, who want to control and enjoy the material energy, and they are performing all sorts of activities. Yes, he's encouraging them to worship demigods if that's their desires. He's encouraging them to join business societies, encouraging them in this way, encouraging them, you want to be a musician, then practice in the heart. He is facilitating and encouraging all living entities, and at the same time he is acting with conscience. The man who wants to be a bank robber, he's saying, don't do it, it'll be bad, you'll have to go to hell. But the bank robber thinks, no, I want to be a bank robber, I'm going to do it at night, no one will see me. So Krishna's in the heart, right? We all have conscience. That is super soul. He's trying to give advice. But if we insist, then okay, go ahead, do bad things. But then you'll get the result, and it will be given to you impartially. There is, in Shastra explained, parabdha and aparabdha karma. The parabdha karma means manifest karma. Just like you and me, we all have this particular situation. That is our parabdha karma. But then there is aparabdha karma. That means not yet manifest. When you perform material activities like planting a seed, that seed will sprout up when the conditions are right. Now it's winter, the seeds are not sprouting up. But when it becomes warm, the fields will sprout up. So we may have performed so many activities, but the ones that are sprouting up now, that is our prabdha karma, manifest karma. But lying in seed, there may be so many things. And therefore you see, somebody becomes very rich and then he loses it all on the stock market. This is karma. We're in this flux. So we should be a little bit careful. We should be a little bit careful. Because the material energy means birth, death, old age, and disease. We're all born, we all grow old, we get disease, and we die. And then we have to be reborn into the cycle of again. We should understand this material world is not our satisfactory home. There'll never be an adjustment in the material energy by which we become supremely blissful. Nor will there be ever a situation in the material world where everything will change into heaven. Sometimes man-made religions say like that. Oh yes, there's going to be an incarnation and everything will be nice. No. Material world will always be miserable so that we learn not to stay here. That's why suffering can be viewed as ultimately good. Suffering makes us understand that I am not the supreme. It teaches us humility. I am not the controller. If we were the controller, if this creation was just a figment of our imagination and we were vibrating somewhere in the cosmos, then why are we making ourselves suffer? Why am I making myself suffer? So it is reasonable to assume that I am not the Supreme Lord. I am not the Supreme Controller. I am not the definer of reality because I am suffering. I am subordinate. Therefore, who is that controlling potency? Who is that Supreme? What is my situation in reality? So this is it. We are subject to karma from previous activities. And it is coming to us. We are performing activities and experiencing the result. Karma, vikarma, akarma, nice karma, different categories of activities. And these activities bear a fruit because we are acting on our own cognizance, on our own desire. Just like if I fight in a war and I kill many people, the Prime Minister will give me a medal. You saved the country. But then if I take the same gun and I act on my own behalf and go and rob a bank, then they put me in the jail. So if we act for ourselves under the supervision of the Supersoul, then we are responsible for the reaction. But if we act for the Supreme, then we become freed. Because in the spiritual world, Krishna, Radharani, everybody is acting for the other. They're in Prem Bhav. They're not acting to gain something. They're acting to give. So we should contemplate this essential quality of the transcendental world and see the beauty of it. If we see the beauty of the spiritual world, the relationships and the beauty of Radha and Krishna, Gaunitai, we become inspired. Beauty is the highest inspiration. Krishna is the reservoir of all beauty. The spiritual world is beautiful, not just because of the colors and the shape. it is because of the consciousness of the people in the spiritual world. Here in this material world, we become disappointed because we find out that people are selfish. But we should look in the mirror and understand I'm selfish. I'm also battling with my own desires. So through sadhana bhakti, what is sadhana bhakti? That is the order of Guru. How does one get out of the material world? By taking shelter of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Guru teaches us unmotivated bhakti. And that means Shravanam. We do Shravanam. Now we're doing Shravanam now. We're hearing about Krishna. But we're doing it with affection. Oh, Krishna, it's so wonderful to hear about you. That is bhakti. That will take us to the spiritual world. Kirtana. Kirtan means to describe. So we have Kirtan, Nam Kirtan, everything. But we do it as an offering to Krishna. I'm doing Kirtan for Krishna. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. Right? We're doing the name. But right, when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We're doing it as an offering to Krishna. We must learn this art. I'm chanting for Krishna, for his pleasure. If we just chant Hare Krishna like a parrot or something, one of those speakers you buy in a shop, that will not give you Krishna prem. You have to offer the prem. You have to conjure up some bhava. You have to do it as an offering to Guru and Krishna. This is the cultivation of bhava. And then Shravanam Kirtanam Smaranam. We remember Krishna and we think, Krishna, Janmadhyasya you are my source. I have come from you. You are the Supreme Father. Prabhupada mentions that. You have gone with me even in the material world. You've given me good advice. You've tried to give me Shastra. You've given me human birth. You've given me association of sadhus. You are trying to help me. You are the Supreme Source. It is wonderful. I am eternal being. Arjuna is learning. How wonderful is that? Smaranam. So then we realize, we remember Krishna. Suridam Sarvabhutanam. And then what is next? Padasevanam. Then this is Bhagavat Marg. We go to the temple to see Krishna, to chant, to listen, to chant, sit there, talk with devotees about Krishna, and offer it to Krishna. That is what the spiritual world is. It is upasana. There's no matsarya. Matsarya is the disease of the material world. I'm envious of you, you're envious of him, he's envious of this, everyone. Even inside a family there's fighting. But in the spiritual world there's no matsarya. Everyone is perfectly satisfied and they're in ecstatic bliss, eternally. So this is the inspiration we must cultivate. Recently an old friend came to see me. He came to see me 4 times. And the 3rd time I had to tell him to shut up. Why? Because he just talked about himself and his family. He's 70 years old now and he's still talking about himself and things that happened 50 years ago. Nobody wants to know about what happened 50 years ago. I had to tell him strictly. I hope he's not here in this class. Right? Isn't that what old people do? They sit on a bench. Well, I remember when I was 15, I didn't like the school teacher. No. You're 70 years old and you're talking about something 55 years ago. And everyone is going like this. But they're not nodding in agreement, they're nodding off. They're falling asleep. But this person is thinking, I'm feeling great now talking about myself. Yeah. What were you saying? So in the material world, everything's boring. It's boring. But people maintain their material vision of themselves. They talk about their, what does Bhaktivinoda Thakur says? Forget the past that sleeps, and near the future dream at all, but act in times that are with you, and progress ye shall call. That means act in times now. That means now, try to get a vision, try to get some information from Supersoul, from Shastra, from Guru, some inspiration now. We don't want to know about the past. It's there, it can't be changed. This is what people do, isn't it? If you want to get on the subject, they go to a psychiatrist and they pay $500, right, an hour. These foolish Americans. They go to psychiatrists and the psychiatrist says, how do you feel about your wife? Well, she's not a bad cook. Talks a lot. So, sorry ladies, I'm only joking. But she's got a sweet voice. So he's talking for 1 hour, and then the psychiatrist takes $500, right? And the people who die most, commit suicide the most, are psychiatrists. You know that? Because every day they listen to 6 people talking about themselves, and they die of boredom. I can't take it anymore. I need a psychiatrist myself. This material world is boring. The spiritual world is wonderful. It is an expanding ocean of ecstasy. And if you want to overcome things, sava upadivanir muktam, you have to view yourself as a spirit soul and enter into seva bhav, doing everything for Krishna, right? Shravanam. I'm studying the book, so my guru is pleased and Krishna is pleased. I'm going to the temple to please Krishna. There's 1,000 people in the temple, but Krishna's pleased. He's not thinking, oh, there's lots of people here, Radharani. They come every day. No, Krishna's saying, oh, come, come, dance, chant, be happy. Right? This is the attitude of the spiritual world. So we have to have that vision. And we have to focus on that vision. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, the sadhus, the Shastra, the Bhakti Shastra, Rupa Goswami, the 6 Goswamis, they're all describing this incredible Leela. Jagadananda Pandit, Prema Vaivata, the transformations of Prem in the spiritual world. This is what we have to focus on. But if we focus on the current events and what happened in the past, we're wasting time. And Super Soul will see it, and he'll give the result. Because Krishna is a desire tree. Whatever, eko yoda dadati karman. You will get what you deserve, what you want. So our independence, and this Prabhupada in the end of the first paragraph, if you remember, he says, Krishna supervises that, but he doesn't interfere. Right? You remember that? Some may ask why the all-powerful God gives facility to the living entities for enjoying this material world and so lets them fall into the trap of the illusory energy. Right? That's often a question. Why does God let us come to the material world? The answer is that if the Supreme Lord as Super Soul does not give such facilities, then there's no meaning to independence. Right? Krishna doesn't want puppets. You can't speak to a puppet. Krishna wants living beings who express themselves through the ecstasy of their prem. That's what he wants to interact with. So that is what he has made. We are transformations of Krishna's Chit Shakti, but we are mixed up. Our consciousness is focused on the Achit Shakti. Now, everything is in our own hands because we are master of our consciousness. This is the point. If we decide, I'm going to read the Bhagavatam, I'm going to chant Hare Krishna, I'm going to discipline my life, I'm going to live a pure life, and I'm going to endeavor, then Krishna will give us all that. Just like he gives us in this verse, you want to worship the demigods for some material thing? Okay. But if you want to worship me, then I'll give you sadhusanga. I'll give you realization. I'll give you eternal life full of bliss and knowledge. So everything is in our hand. You remember that. Don't think, oh, I'm a woman, I'm young, I'm old, I'm a man, I'm rich, I'm poor. No. Everything is in our hands because everything is the result of how we use our consciousness. You understand that? Nothing can stop you going back to Goloka. In fact, Krishna will run to you and drag you back to Goloka, out of this material world, which will always be disappointment. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, thank you for your kind attention. Any question?
Prabhu, there are many times some negative thoughts that keep coming in mind. So, is it any role of Paramatma in this Paramatma, or how exactly that negative thoughts comes?
Yeah, that's our material conditioning. Yes, Lord Chaitanya said, Chetodapana marjanam, bhavamaha nivapanam. Chetodapana means to clean the mirror of the mind. So we don't see ourselves properly when the mirror is cloudy. Bhavamaha nivapanam means that when we chant, the first action will be that the mind becomes clarified. The second action will be bhavamaha, the material intoxication, the material attraction to the material energy will become less. So everybody is agitated by the three modes of material nature. Everybody is interacting with the material energy. But that is not beneficial. So in yoga practice, it is called vivarta, that if there is some agitation coming to you, oh, I feel angry, then you should send the opposite message to your mind. You should think, why should I be angry? These things happen. Let me be detached. Do you understand? You send an opposite message. And these agitations will be there because within our subtle body is the remnants of all our thoughts and activities for maybe millions of lifetimes, you see. And they are giving us a tendency to this activity or that activity. Maybe good or bad materially, but they're all entangling in the material energy. So if we understand that the things that are popping into our mind are coming from past karmas, then what is the solution? It is by activating the soul's dormant Krishna prema. There is in the slokas, it says, Nityasiddha Krishna Prem Sadhaka Banai, Shravanadi Sudatite Kariyade Oda. That Krishna Prem is there, it is dormant within the nature of the soul. So when we wake that up, it burns off the material conditioning. And so first the mind becomes clear. If we combine that with a pure lifestyle, regulative principles, And then bhavamahani magni nivapanam. The material desire becomes less. It's compared to a fire. What's next? Bhavamahani martinam. Shrera chandrika. So then that's a very auspicious position. Because when the material intoxication, which is causing this material agitation, becomes less, then vidyavadu jivanam, then one enters into a state of knowledge. Because he's touching the spiritual energy, he becomes enlivened with knowledge. And that knowledge is within the soul, but it's becoming awakened. And that is that awakening of knowledge, perception of reality as it is the first stage of prema. You realize, yes, I'm on the right path. This material world is never going to be satisfactory. Vidyavadu jivanam, anandam buddhivadhanam. And then when one realizes that one is on the right path, ananda comes. And when ananda bliss comes, when bliss comes, then one realizes the Supreme Lord directly and personally. So yes, the mind is always there. So it can be controlled by sadhana. You understand? And there's 3 elements to sadhana. It's in the Brahma Samhita. Lord Krishna says to Brahma, he says, Pramanas tad acharas tadabhyasa nirantaram bodhayan atmanam bhaktim api uttamam labet. If you want uttamam bhakti, how do you get it? Krishna tells Brahma 3 things. He says, pramana. Clear the illusory ideas that you may have picked up in this school or this newspaper or this television program with pramana. Pramana means proof. It means amnaya. It means the Vedic knowledge as imparted and transmitted by the acharyas and the devotees. Pramana, proof. It satisfies because it rings the bell of the soul. Pramana, you must study Shastra every day. Lord Shiva says you should read 1 line of Shastra every day. He says that you should give in charity every day and you should say the name of Krishna 1 time every day. But that's another thing. So pramana. And then sad acharais. Sad means you should live a pure life. You understand? That means we should cut out intoxication, bad talking, rumor mongering. We should live pure foods. This is difficult because we're all conditioned. We all get a little angry here and there. But we have to strive in that way. The rules of sadhana. Yama, niyama in the Ashtanga yoga system. Things that you don't do, things that you do. So that's the second one. First one is you must gain knowledge, Shastra Gyan, Siddhanta. And then you must live pure life, and then Nirantaram. You must be steady. You must be steady. Just like if you want to build muscles, you don't do it 1 day a week, you do it every day, like that. And then Krishna, he's helping you worship the demigod. He's also helping you go back to Godhead. You understand? And then that is the wonderful realization that you get, that Krishna is helping me. Krishna's present. Krishna favors me. He's pleased with me. And we should understand that. Just like if I have 10 children, every child, if I'm a good father, every child is special to me. Sometimes you hear chosen. Partiality is a bad personality trait. Krishna, every single spirit soul, whether they're in a non-moving body or a moving body, animal body, human body, demigod, every spirit soul is special to Krishna. We are dealing with the unlimited Supreme Lord. Every spirit soul is special to Krishna. And that's why he is accompanying every spirit soul as, every soul as Paramatma. To supervise that person. In the Shastra there is stated that, in the Upanishads, that there is a tree. This body is like a tree. And there are two birds in the tree. One bird is trying to enjoy the fruits of the tree. That's the material, he's trying to enjoy the material body. And there's the other bird is waiting and hoping that this bird will turn to him and take good advice. So, yoga is not a faith or blind faith idea. It is an experience system. You see, as soon as we chant and we read the Shastra, then we get experience of transcendence. Especially if we cultivate doing it in the devotional manner. My study is my bhakti, is my bhajan. My good behavior is my bhajan. It's my offering, you see. Seva bhav is the most important thing. Because in the material world, everyone's serving themselves. Oh, I want to do this, I want to talk about myself. In the spiritual world, everyone is serving the other. And that is the beautiful, right? Even in the material world, if we find somebody that's serving humanity or a good cause, we think that person's a good person. It's not selfish, right? We know intuitively, but they're unselfish in the wrong area. But the greatest service, the greatest unselfishness is to give spiritual knowledge, like Srila Prabhupada. He went to America, he went all over the world, giving people knowledge, pramana. And he told them, now live a pure life and stick with it, and you'll go back to home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So remember that. You have everything in your hands because you are the master of your consciousness. Right? And then, when you've achieved bhakti, you will feel fulfilled. You will feel, I did it. I beat my material conditioning. I pleased the sadhus. I pleased the Supreme Lord. Just like if you want to be a musician, when you first pick up the guitar, you might think, oh, why can't I play properly? But then you keep practicing, then one day people say, hey, you're a good musician. I did it myself. So when you go back to the spiritual world, you'll be able to look everyone in the eye and say, I did it myself. I did my sadhana. I was faithful to my guru. I did my best, and Krishna helped me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So enjoy the struggle. Do you understand? Enjoy the struggle to be spiritual, because the struggle is how you prove yourself. You understand? It's the struggle that makes you glorious. Anyway, we better stop now. Sachi wants to go for a paratha. Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you all very much. See you next week. Take care.